finally maybe a little bit of good news coming Microsoft's way and Xbox fans' way, and I think, hey, about time, right? I mean, when it comes down to it, it's all about the games, and I think that gets lost up in the mix in, certain places, but for me anyway, it still is just definitely all about the games. I would like to have Xbox, stick around and be a thing in the future, but at the for me, it's just crazy to think that maybe that won't be a thing in the very near term, and that's a sad part to me, I think, because I realize kind of what happens if you don't have that competition. But given how we've kind of seen things work out and how things are kind of going right now, this is at least good news that we need. Again, anything can change. I would take anything with pretty much a grain of salt at this point, especially when it comes to stuff like this, because Microsoft, Sony, any company could potentially have some delays or something along those lines when it's really a bad situation across the board, simply because there might be GTA coming next year, right? So we could definitely see something happen with that thing, and we'll see. But anyway, there's a rumor of, which I thought was pretty interesting, of 2 first-party Xbox games releasing next year. One of them not really much of a surprise. One of them kind of a surprise, but still pretty cool to see if that's the case. So with next year and beyond looking kind of stacked from the first-party prospects, Microsoft could be having some trouble knowing where exactly to place its first-party games in the 2026 release calendar. Obviously, we know of 4 big titles that are landing next year at the moment, and some fresh rumors giving us a narrower window for one of those titles, while also adding a 5th into the 2026 mix. So we'll look at the narrower release window right now. First of all, Nate the Hate, a well-known gaming leaker, has taken social media this week to reiterate that Forza Horizon 6 is actually planned for the first half of 2026, and there's been numerous rumors about this one before. For now, Xbox and Playground Games have simply attached a broad 2026 window to Forza Horizon 6 in an official capacity. Someone said, hey, Nate the Hate, now that GTA 6 got delayed, is H1 2026 release window way more likely for Forza Horizon 6? And he said, first half 2026 has been the target and remains as such. So the rumor on the second game in question isn't quite as specific in terms of its window, but it's an interesting update for an Xbox Game Studios title nonetheless. Clockwork Revolution from inXile Entertainment, which at the moment doesn't have any sort of release time frame, could also be coming to Microsoft from Microsoft sometime in 2026. The Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit has spotted the former inXile writer Nathan Long has Clockwork Resolution listed on LinkedIn as one of their 2026 projects, even if Long is seemingly no longer working on the title. Of course, as always is the case with these sorts of rumors, urging to be prepared for, use a lot of salt with a lot of this, because Microsoft hasn't confirmed any of this stuff, and they likely won't. But again, it makes sense. We'll have to see how Microsoft handles this stuff. We do know that they are reportedly kind of backtracking a little bit, just trying to, I guess, maybe, see how things change up in the future, and when's GTA going to come out, and when's this going to come out, when's that going to come out. I think that's something that bears kind of keeping an eye on just in the future, because you want to make sure that you're not going up against GTA 6, because that would be just absolutely like the dumbest thing that you could ever do in a long line of dumb things. And I guess Microsoft, obviously, they're not the smartest duck in the pond, but still, you're going to have a situation where you have to have some kind of plan for that, right? And it's bad enough if it's like you have Call of Duty this year and that game has underperformed, and next year your Call of Duty game launches pretty much in direct competition with the next GTA. So people aren't going to bother with your Call of Duty. Like, I think it's going to get worse on the Call of Duty side before it gets better, if it ever does get better. And then you have a situation with other games. It's like you already have Call of Duty. What else can you put out in that time frame? Because the Halo anniversary release date is literally the same day as GTA 6 release date, and you're not going to go up against that. I don't care how big of a game you think you have, right? You're not going to release it up against that. That's just would be insanity. And I'm not really 100% sure exactly what kind of the thought process that Microsoft has right now, but there's rumors that they weren't the only company behind closed doors that were actually talking about, delaying games and things. So, again, I feel like anything could change at this particular point, and, it wouldn't surprise me or shock me if, Microsoft decided to kind of go out and delay something or change around, what they were trying to do. So for me anyway, I kind of look at it like that, and I look at it as in such a way that I hope that we can get some kind of idea of what's actually going to come next year. But because of the GTA situation, I feel like Microsoft and other companies are going to probably drag their feet and not actually announce, a lot of stuff that we should end up actually getting, which is a real shame, because I want to see as many things that you kind of want to see who's gonna come out there, and what's gonna make what release date and things like that. So like that's the thought process for me anyway. But is that going to be what we end up getting? Like I have no idea. I think it really just kind of depends on what Microsoft wants to do. But hearing that something like Clockwork Revolution could come out next year, maybe they don't have as big of a return on investment for that they need. I'm not really sure. It's just hard saying, because they could use any excuse, but also you have to keep in mind that whatever they put out, they're obviously going to put out on PlayStation as well, so that could slow down releases. That could definitely do, any kind of damage to the releases that we might see from them. But again, I do believe that anything could happen, and that Microsoft could change course or directions pretty much at a drop of a hat. Obviously, I hope that we're going to still have a good year first party wise from them. Is that going to be how it's going to be? Listen, I have no idea. It's kind of honestly difficult to pinpoint at this particular point, because you don't know what these companies are thinking. But Microsoft in particular are in a really rough spot because of the entire GTA thing, because they're one of the largest, if not largest, publishers in gaming, and so you have all these games that you need to get out, including your yearly franchise that recoups you, hundreds of millions of dollars, and you don't know what to do, because obviously these other companies aren't really saying what their plan is. So again, this puts them in a really weird spot, and it could really put people in a in an even weirder spot, depending on what Microsoft wants to do, and how they kind of want to handle these things. So, again, I'm a firm believer that anything can happen, and that, we should keep our kind of minds open and eyes open with this stuff. But I also think that we are kind of in this weird situation where, Microsoft has to give some kind of announcement that these things are coming and when they're going to come and things like that. So, that's pretty much how I kind of look at it. And I'm sure like a lot of you guys are maybe looking at it as the same type of situation as I am. But, we'll see. I hope we get a nice lineup next year. And we'll see if we can end up getting some quality first party content. Again, it would be awesome if we could do that. Is that going to be something that we continue to see from Microsoft, is like a strong lineup of games? I don't know. I think GTA could end up having them put many games. Like if you were to ask me, I don't think Halo and I don't think Fable are going to come out next year. There's something tells me that those games aren't going to release on time, and maybe even a situation where where we might not even see the Gears game release next year. I mean, could you imagine? I just think the stuff that was scheduled the second half of the year probably won't release. Not only would you be going up against yourself with Call of Duty, but also with Grand Theft Auto 6, and so that would be a bad situation. But hearing some good things about Clockwork Revolution. It's one of the games that has my interest. A new IP, their first real attempt at something that's not like a top-down type of game. I think that's pretty awesome, and just overall I just love seeing that kind of stuff. So what do you guys think about this though? Do you guys think that's a pretty cool update? Do you guys think that these games are coming? Do you think Microsoft will cancel stuff? Do you think they'll push stuff back? I'm always curious to hear what everybody else thinks about this stuff. Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate you guys watching. Have a fantastic day. rack 'em up. As always, Crap Gamer out.